Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you are new, welcome. My name is Mandy and I am doing another full face today. I really like doing full faces of one brand. I feel like if you are going to find a product that works with another product, it best be within the same brand. So I like to test to see if that holds true. And today I'm doing a drugstore brand, L'Oreal. A lot of these products I have used for a long time. Some of them are new and I have used for a few weeks. One of the products, the lipstick, I haven't used at all, so that will be kind of a first impression as well. I will admit I am not a huge drugstore makeup person. It is absolutely ridiculous of me to say and holds no logic behind it, but I will go to Chanel and I will spend a stupid amount of money on a foundation and sometimes not even think twice about it. But then if I look at a drugstore foundation and it's like 20 bucks, I'm like, no way am I paying 20 bucks for a drugstore foundation. It doesn't make sense. I'm fully aware of that. But drugstore has gone up in price quite a bit in the last few years. However, it is still much more affordable than some of my beloved luxury brands. So I wanted to bring you a full face. This is it. If you want to see how I achieved it and what my favorite products were, what didn't work as well, and my top 3 at the end, let's jump in. Let's hop in. I don't have a corrector from L'Oreal, so I already have on my Dermatology. I am going to start out with, and I'm not going to call this a primer because it's not. It is the True Match Lumi Glotion Natural Glow Enhancer. Not a primer. An enhancer. And this is in the shade 902 Light Glow. I think there are 4 to 5 shades in this. And this can be used just like any other liquid illuminator. You can use it as an all-over primer. You can use it to highlight the high points of your face before or after foundation. You can mix it in with your foundation. You can mix it in with liquid bronzers, liquid blushes, any other way you can use another liquid highlight. Today I am going to use it as kind of a high point highlighter under my foundation. So that is the shade Light. And I'm just going to pick it up on the brush and then kind of tap it on, my upper cheekbones. See how it adds some sheen a little bit down my nose. I don't love sheen like on my forehead or my chin, but I'm gonna just tap a little bit on my chin. I would not say this has coverage. This isn't like the Charlotte Tilbury Flawless Filter, at least on me. With that product, I can get coverage. Albeit a sheer to light coverage, but still coverage. This one is more just, I'm gonna add some glow to the skin. What I do find is that despite the fact it doesn't have coverage, I feel like I use less foundation when I have this or something similar to this underneath as a priming step. For foundation, probably the most talked about foundation is the True Match Nude, which comes in the pipette. I have used that. I do really enjoy it. I don't have it now because it expired before I could finish it, so I'm not using it anymore. But the 2 that I have right now are the L'Oreal True Match Super Blendable Foundation. This is in the shade N3. And the L'Oreal Infallible 32 Hour Fresh Wear Foundation in the shade 445. I don't know what. This is the thing about vanilla. Drugstore foundations, sometimes it's so hard to find the name of the product. So these are the 2 that I have right now. I will say, the L'Oreal Infallible Matte that comes in the squeeze tube is so good. I used to use that years ago, all the time. And I can still use it and it still looks good. And I highly recommend that product. I just don't have it right now. So I am gonna use this L'Oreal Infallible Fresh Wear. I will say the True Match is very True Match. I feel like there is something about the formula that truly does form to your skin tone and look perfect. And there's no reason that I'm picking this over the other one. It's just I want to use it. So again, this is in the shade Vanilla. It's a little bit darker than you would think vanilla would be. I'm only going to use 1 pump because I have that highlight underneath. I just don't feel like I need more than that. and I'm gonna pick it up from the palette and then only start where my redness is the worst. So many people make a blanket statement about applying foundations that you should start in the center of your face where you need more coverage and then work your way out. For me, I need the most coverage from like the center on, because that's where the most redness is. And then that way I just take whatever's left on the brush and bring it over to the center of my face so that the color is unified and the same. But I don't want a ton of product here if I don't have a lot to cover, because that just makes it look heavy. It's typically where we have our most amount of pores. Things can look heavier there. I don't know. I guess I just don't love blanket statements about makeup in general. And I've said that many times before. What works for one doesn't work for another. And the whole point is to play around and find what works for you. So this is a very lightweight foundation. You don't need much. Even if I didn't have that highlight product underneath, I would still probably only use a pump and a half. And you're gonna see after I'm done with my forehead that I still have a half of a pump left on my palette. So I just used a half of a pump for my entire face. This is transfer and sweat resistant. Color stays true all day, and it says an up to a 32-hour natural finish. My word, who in their right mind is wearing their foundation for 32 hours? To me, that is not a marketing selling point. I just don't get it. Even the 24-hour thing. Just give me a good wear foundation. You don't have to give me an hour on it. Never worn it for 32 hours, but I will attest that it does wear very well all day, and it is more of a natural to a demi-matte finish versus luminous, which I think you can see as I applied. Now let's go on to concealer. I have the L'Oreal True Match Concealer. I've worn it a few times. I actually can't say that I love it. Now, to be fair, one of the times I used a corrector that doesn't look good under most of my concealers, so I think that had something to do with it, but it just never wowed me. Now, this infallible up to 24-hour full wear, full coverage concealer is good. It is very full coverage, and I will say my main issue with not only this concealer, drugstore products in general, it is not easy to find a shade that works. And I'm not just saying when you're shopping online. I'm talking about even going in store. For instance, I first ordered this online and I got the shade Pecan. When it got to me, I looked at this packaging and I'm like, oh my word, that is so much darker than it looked in all of the swatches online. There's no way I can wear this. So without opening it, because I thought I was gonna return it, so I didn't wanna break the seal, I went in store to try to better match myself, and I got vanilla, which looks in the packaging like it would work for me. This is too light. So I went ahead and opened this one, and it works a little bit better. It's just not, it's long story short, it's hard to match. So I'm gonna take some of the Pecan, one dot where my darkness is the worst, and then go from there, slowly building it out. Since I'm only using one dot, I wanna make sure I still get coverage everywhere I want it, so I tend to go a little bit slower blending it out. But I hope that you can see how much coverage that provided. One dot, and despite it being part of the infallible range, which a lot of people associate with more matte and suited for oily skin, I find this wears really nice under the eyes. It doesn't dry my under eyes out or make them look worse. And upon using it for the last week versus the True Match Concealer, I think I like it better. I'm gonna be using a liquid blush today, so I'm gonna do that before I set. I have two of the Lumi liquid blushes. I have only used one of the shades, so let me swatch them both so you can see. This one is in the shade Dewy Bright Pink. Despite having the word dewy in the name, it is more of a matte compared to Glowy Gold Pink, which definitely has more of a sheen and is in no way, in my opinion, pink. This is coral, which I think you'll be able to see putting both of them up. So that says it is the Glowy Gold Pink. That is not pink to me. This is pink, And see how this one definitely, as it hits the light, really reflects the light more, and it definitely has more of a sheen in the formula. I think because of the lip color I'm gonna be wearing, I'm gonna do the actual pink one, the Dewy Bright Pink. Now another thing you could use that liquid highlight with is something like this. So you could put some of this onto your hand, mix a little bit of the Lumi Glotion to make it even dewier. And I don't know why I put it on my hand. I did that yesterday. I wanted to try to dot it today, so that's what I'm gonna do. It has the same doe foot as the Infallible Concealer, and I'm just gonna take 2 dots and then take my A101 and kind of press that in. Go up on my temples and down the cheek. This does have quite a bit of pigment to it. See, just 2 dots gives a very good amount of pigment. Maybe too much, but we'll make it work. I do think it's a little easier to control the amount of pigment despite it looking pretty bright right there. I don't mind it. I think it's very pretty. Dotting it on versus putting it on your hand and picking it up with a brush, because at least then you know you have the exact same amount of product on each cheek before blending it out. But isn't that really, it's just really pretty. I do really like the blushes. Well, at least this one. I haven't tried the other one yet. For powder, they don't have a ton of powder options. Now they do have the powder foundation, which I have talked about and raved about for good reason in a lot of other videos. So I'm not gonna go on about it here. You can search my channel for that. But I love it. It's one of my favorite powder foundations. But as far as setting powders, there's not a ton of options. I got the True Match Super Blendable Powder, and I did the shade Into Light, which looks a little lighter in the pan than I typically like for powders, but it ends up working out. So I really just concentrate it underneath that blush, and then all on my forehead and definitely in my T-zone. And I like this powder. I feel like the few times that I've used it, it has worn really well. It doesn't look too heavy. It does the job of setting. No complaints for the powder. And again, I think it's just the True Match line in general. The color just always ends up working. Whatever I choose to use within that line, it just ends up working for my skin. So there's something to be said for the True Match portion of that. Now for bronzer, again, they don't have many bronzer options available. I got the Infallible 24-Hour Fresh Wear Bronzer. I am in the shade, or I got the shade 300 Light Medium. This is it right here. This is a very neutral bronzer. It does not pull warm at all. I've worn it a few times, and depending on the day will depend on if I like it. It's not a bad one at all. The past few times I've worn it, I have liked it more than the original times that I wore it. But if you really like a foundation from a brand and you can't find a bronzer that you like, or if you're wanting to stick to that one brand and you can't just make it work, just get a darker shade in the foundation and use that as your liquid or cream bronzer. You're going to like that most likely better than any powder bronzer within the line, because it is the exact same formulation. But again, the past few times I've worn this, I have liked it, and I think today is gonna be no different. So let's talk about the highlight. This one is probably my favorite complexion product that I'm gonna use today, okay? And it's the newest addition to L'Oreal as far as makeup goes that I know of. This is the Lumi Le Glace Highlighter Stick. Talked about this in another video. This is the, well, first of all, this is the shade Glassy Pearl Eclat 610. This is the drugstore version of the Merit highlighter stick that I love, the Victoria Beckham highlighter stick that I love, the Westman Atelier highlighter stick that I love. And the reason I say that is because it is basically the same exact effect and formula. It is a balm. It is a little sticky. So if you're someone who wants a highlight to dry down 100%, this is not gonna be it. But I find that these formulas make the prettiest, most natural glow on the skin. And I love this just as much as I love the other ones. So highly recommend that one. Now let's go on to the eyes. Here's the thing, another thing with drugstore products. If I shop at Ulta for most of my drugstore, Ulta or Target, which is where I get most of my drugstore products, they don't carry the same products as each other even, and not the same products that maybe Walgreens or CVS carry. For instance, eye products. When you go on Ulta, possibly even Target, I can't remember, all you see are these eyeshadow sticks for eyeshadow. Then you go to CVS and you see some of their single eyeshadows. And then you go to Walgreens and you see some of their liquid eyeshadows. You don't know what's being discontinued. You don't know why one carries one thing and the other doesn't. It's very hard. So I stuck to what I could find at Ulta because, again, I don't know if the ones at Walgreens and CVS are being discontinued or not. This is the Le Shadow Stick, and this is in the shade Twinkly Rose number 115, and I'm just gonna put this all over my lid. Now, I will say, this one is pretty impressive. Do you see how it's like 2 or 3 swipes? Really good color payoff, very soft to apply. They don't tug on the eyelids at all. Really pretty. This shade I have been using a lot in the inner corner lately. I'll use it as a brow bone highlight. My favorite of the two, but this one is not bad either. This is 230 Magnetic Bronze. You would think that it would be a little bit more shimmery. I was about to say shimmerier, y'all. But it's not. Well, it just pulls a little more matte on me. So I am going to try not to mess it up by putting it too low. Put it in the outer corner and just blend it up. These do have a good amount of playtime to them, but they also set. Once they are set, they are set. So this just gives a little bit more definition on the outer corner. I did try this shade by itself one day, and it was just a little, I don't want to say it was too dark. It was a little too blah. Like I just felt like I needed something else on my eyes. And you know I love a wash of color, but it just didn't work out. This certain color just didn't work out for me for some reason. And that's okay because it works great how I used it today. I did get an eyeliner, and this is the Infallible Grip eyeliner in Emerald Green. Surprise, surprise that I got it in green. It is like not extremely pigmented, and it's a little bit patchy. Like it might be hard to come across on camera, but there's like areas up here that are kind of patching off. Because of this, I'm gonna use it today, but I don't find that it applies overshadow as pigmented as if I'm just putting it on like a bare eyelid, if that makes sense. I'm not gonna smudge it out because I do feel like with this particular shade, if I smudge it, it just kind of starts to look brown and I lose the green. And then I'm gonna put a little bit under my eye to hopefully bring some of that green out. And then just take my finger to smudge a little bit of it. It's just not what I hoped it would be. The Dior green liner, the Chanel green liner, they're more pigmented and they work out a little bit better for me. For mascara, I have talked about the L'Oreal Voluminous mascara formula for years and years and years. I used to use the black all the time. I have since started using the burgundy about 3 tubes ago and love it. I'm almost out of the one I'm using right now. And because I've talked about that one so much, I thought I would try a new one. So with my last order, I picked up the Panorama Voluminous Mascara. This is a washable mascara. It comes in 2 shades. I just have the shade Black. Apparently your lashes are going to look 1.4 times bigger. That is very precise. It is smudge resistant, clump resistant, and flake resistant with up to a 24-hour wear. Feels lightweight, easy to remove, suitable for sensitive eyes and contact lens wearers. It does not technically say it's tubing, but it does say it has a 5% Stretch Flex Complex formula that wraps each lash, giving you flexible defined lash by lash volume, which sounds like a tubing mascara. First, I'm going to use this voluminous primer, which I've also talked about for years because it is a good mascara primer if you are so inclined to use one. I have gotten to where I don't use one that much anymore, but when I did, it was either this one or my Jane Iredale one that I used all the time. So this is the brush. little bit of a cone shape, and it does have more like plastic bristles. I am going to apply 2 coats of this, and we'll see if it makes my lashes 1.4 times bigger. Okay, that's 2 coats. I mean, it's pretty impressive mascara. I will say, I do find it gives more length than volume. If you're looking for something that's truly voluminous, I would go with the actual L'Oreal Voluminous. But I mean, that's some pretty impressive length. I like the wand, how it separates the lashes. And while I don't remember it coming off in actual tubes like a tubing mascara, it is easy to remove and it doesn't smudge, at least the few times that I've worn it. Let's talk about lips. I got this shade. I have never worn it, y'all. I thought it was lighter than it was. This is a shade Nude Intense. No, I'm sorry. This is a shade New Confident or Confident in the Color Riche Nude Intense range. To me, this is a pink lipstick. I mean, I know we all have our different versions of what a nude lipstick is. That's like saying a smoky eye is just one thing, but this is darker than I thought. But I'm still gonna use it. I'm just gonna kind of tap it on. It is definitely a matte formula. So I have to put some kind of gloss on top. So I am gonna use the Plump Ambition Hyaluron Lip Oil. This is in the shade 201. And I think it's like the least amount of pigment. It does look like it would be kind of a milky pink, but it really goes on clear. However, it feels amazing. It's a really pretty sheen. It's not a lip gloss, so I'm not looking for opacity, but that sheen that it gives is so pretty. And it does feel really nice. It has like a sweet smell to it. It is very pretty and very nice for a lip oil. That is it. That is my full face of L'Oreal, at least of what I have. If I had to pick a top 3 from all of the products that I tried today, it would be the liquid blush. I just really like how this looks on the skin. Definitely the highlight. Again, really like how it looks on the skin. And I do really like this mascara. I feel like there are so many good drugstore mascaras, and a lot of people say Maybelline makes the best. In my opinion, L'Oreal all the way. I really like so many of their formulas that they put out, and this one is no different. So I will have all of these listed and linked below in the description box. Let me know in the comments if you have a favorite L'Oreal product. If you want to see another brand from the drugstore, let me know, and I will start to work on compiling and testing those products for you. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in my next video, and I hope you all go out and have a very blessed day.